The medical bay hummed with the sterile rhythm of alien technology, a sound that had become oddly comforting to Sergeant Darren Holt during his 3 years stationed on the Confederation frigate Unity's Promise. But comfort was a distant memory now. Pain radiated through his torso in waves, each breath a reminder of the 9 plasma blades that had carved through his armor and flesh. He blinked against the harsh overhead lights, his vision swimming into focus. Standing around his bed were not the human medics he expected, but 7 towering figures clad in ornate battle armor that seemed to drink in the light. Their reptilian faces were marked with ceremonial scars, and their eyes, vertical slits of molten gold, fixed upon him with an intensity that made his heart rate monitor spike. "Easy. Sergeant Holt," came a familiar voice. "Dr. Yenna." The ship's Teruvian physician stepped into view. "You're safe. These are the Kethrin Blade Guard. They've been standing vigil for 3 days." 3 days, Darren's voice came out as a rasp. His last clear memory was of the ambush in the market district of Station Epsilon 7, the glint of blades, and a small, terrified face with amber eyes. "Recall," he croaked. "The cub, is he?" The largest of the warriors stepped forward, removing his helmet to reveal a face weathered by countless battles. When he spoke, his voice rumbled like distant thunder filtered through the universal translator clipped to his armor. "The youngling lives because you stood between him and death, human. I am War Chief Kratar, Rakal's blood sire. You took 9 blades meant for my son." The memory crashed back with brutal clarity. Darren had been off duty, exploring the station's multicultural market when the attack began. A radical faction calling themselves the Purity Sect had struck without warning, targeting non-humanoids with monomolecular blades that could slice through standard armor like paper. He'd seen Rakal barely, 5 years old in human terms, separated from his family as 3 assailants converged on him. The Kethrin were formidable warriors, but their cubs were vulnerable, their scales still soft and underdeveloped. Darren hadn't thought. He'd simply moved. The first blade had caught him in the shoulder as he scooped Rakal up. The second slashed across his ribs. By the third, he'd activated his personal shield generator, but it was designed for energy weapons, not physical blades. The 4th, 5th, and 6th strikes came in rapid succession as he turned his back to the attackers, curling around the cub. 7, 8, 9. He remembered Rakal's father arriving like a storm of scales and fury, remembered the attackers fleeing or falling. He remembered the cub's small hands clutching his uniform, and then, nothing. "The physician said you should have died," Kratar continued, his voice thick with an emotion the translator struggled to convey. "Your species' durability is remarkable, but 9 blades, 2 pierced your primary organs. You lost half your blood volume, yet you held my son until I reached you. Only then did you permit yourself to collapse." Darren shifted uncomfortably under the weight of their stares. "Just did what anyone would do." A sharp, barking sound erupted from the warriors' Kethrin laughter, he realized. Kratar's expression softened into something that might have been a smile on a human face. "No, Sergeant Holt. That is where you are wrong. The station held 3,000 beings that day. Only one placed himself between death and a child not of his species. Only one human." He paused, letting the words settle. "Among my people there is an ancient custom. When one saves a bloodline from extinction, they are owed a life debt. But you did more than save my son's life. You taught him something no elder's lesson could convey." Kratar gestured, and one of the other warriors stepped forward carrying a small figure. Rakal, his scales now bearing fresh iridescent patterns of healing, approached the bed with wide, reverent eyes. "He taught me what honor looks like," Rakal said, his young voice steady despite its high pitch. "In every species, in every form." The cub placed a small clawed hand on Darren's arm, careful of the medical tubes. "You didn't hesitate. Not because of treaties or duty. You saw me afraid and you decided I was worth protecting." Darren felt his throat tighten. "You were a kid in trouble. Of course you were worth it." Kratar knelt beside the bed, bringing his massive frame level with Darren's. "My clan debated for cycles whether humans truly understood the warrior's path. Some called your species soft. Others said you fought only when profit demanded it. Krakal's grandmother, our matriarch, was among the skeptics." His eyes gleamed. "She was wrong. We were all wrong." He produced a blade from his belt, not a weapon, but something ornate, clearly ceremonial. The handle was wrapped in crimson cord, and the blade itself seemed to shimmer with inner light. This is a Cathrall, a guardian's honor. In 5,000 years of Kethran history, only 12 have been awarded to outsiders. You are the 13th, Sergeant Darren Holt. From this day you are adopted into Clan Kretar. You are brother to our warriors, uncle to our cubs, and should you ever call, we will come. The other 6 warriors struck their chests in unison, the sound echoing through the medical bay like war drums. We don't expect you to understand the full weight of this honor, Kretar continued, but know this. Among the stars there are warriors who fight for glory, for conquest, for survival. But the truest warriors fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. You, Sergeant Holt, are such a warrior. You are Kethran in spirit, even if your scales are flesh. Darren accepted the blade with trembling hands, the weight of it both physical and symbolic. I don't know what to say. Rikal climbed carefully onto the edge of the bed. You don't have to say anything, Uncle Darren. You already said everything when you stood in front of me. As the young Kethran settled against his side, careful of his injuries, Darren felt something shift in his understanding of the universe. He'd joined the Confederation to serve humanity's interests, to be a soldier in the great diplomatic machine. But in one moment of instinct, he'd become something more. He'd become a guardian, not of nations or species, but of the innocent. And as he looked at the elite warriors standing vigil, at the cub who trusted him completely, Darren Holt understood that this was what separated humanity and the stars. Not superior technology or cunning diplomacy, but the stubborn, reckless willingness to stand between the vulnerable and the void. Thank you, he whispered finally. All of you. Kretar placed a massive hand on his shoulder. No, Sergeant. Thank you. You reminded the galaxy what it means to be truly strong. Outside the medical bay window, stars wheeled in their ancient dance, indifferent to the small drama below. But in that moment, 1 human and 7 Kethran warriors knew that something had changed. A bond had been forged in blood and courage, one that would ripple across the Confederation for generations to come. Humanity had proven itself once again, not with weapons or words, but with 9 scars and an unshakable conviction. Some things are worth bleeding for.